Let's look at a few ideas for building a scoring system in Godtear. Opportunities in the moment on the table that we want to keep in mind. Now, the really amazing thing about Godtear that's captured my imagination, beyond the models, the lore, getting into the rules itself, how much this system has been built from the ground up, and how as a skirmish miniature war game, it really brings something unique in that you're never out of the game. Round by round, moment by moment, turn by turn, things are vastly changing. And we explored the overall rules section and some of the ideas. I pushed that up to my channel, I believe last week. That's under the Godtear playlist if you want to check that out. And some other thoughts on this game. But essentially, you are fighting over the salty tears of the fallen gods on the table. And based on certain actions that you take turn by turn, you score points. So it's not just binary do this and win. Turn by turn, you gain points, you lose points. And then at the end of the turn, whoever has the most points scores and wins that turn. So what we see here, before we even get into the war bands and different combos and opportunities, what we see here is the fact that there are multiple ways to score. And I'm going to share with you three of the things that I like to keep in mind, opportunities that I'm looking for to get those points, to start racking up those points, or if I can't, to position myself next round to get the points. So one of the biggest ways to get points is, of course, to plant your banner, to plant your flag, your totem, your icon on the table. The challenge with this, of course, is you have to get up there. Then it takes an action, and your opponent, depending on the turn order and some abilities, might be able to smash it or move it. So that's not to say we're not going to go for it. Absolutely, that's an important part of the game, because within each warband, except for one, you have this icon that you want to plant. This gets you a good amount of points. Depending on the color, you'll also get a bonus point. These points happen at the end of the turn. So the challenge here, of course, I see is, how can I multitask? Meaning I don't want to just run up and plant my flag and then I'm not in a position tactically to do anything else, especially if it's a Slayer class, the red models, which need to get up there and kill things. At the same time, it is important because not only does it possibly get me points depending on the scenario, but also it forces my opponent to, and me too to some extent, it forces my opponent to have something to remember. Fritz planted a banner. He's got 2 or 3 banners on those tiers. I got to get those things off, or at the very least counter and plant my banner. But then if he smashes one of my banners, that puts me behind. It's something to remember, and it's a focus that might be working against your opponent, forcing them to make choices. Choices like, I'm going to go after the banner, but then that might leave some followers, and approaching it that way. So absolutely, I'm always looking to plant. And again, that's an important part of the game. Second, killing followers. Now, the unique thing about this game, I want to sidebar a little bit. Unlike other miniature skirmish games, you don't really lose models in Godtear. Your champion is so juiced up on Godtears that when they get killed, it's really knocked out. You have a set number of wounds, you lose those wounds, you get knocked out, you get to be moved to Hex unless you have a special power that doesn't allow you to, and then you can get yourself back in the fight next turn. From a game mechanics point, this is amazing because I'm never out of the turn. All the usual tactics that might work in legacy skirmish war games, the you go, I go, the alpha strike, me taking out your most powerful piece and then you have nothing else you can do with it. That's all negated with Godtear. I mean, truly, it really is built from the ground up in exploring it and how it works. So absolutely, killing models is important, but you're not limited to it because you're going to get it back. Now, that's not for free because you have to spend actions to get them back. Followers, I want to target followers. And it's not just if I'm playing a yellow. I'll get the bonus points. The reason why you want to target followers is, and this depends on the warband a little bit, followers often will allow you to buff or decrease, meaning they have a power where, I'm just thinking of the Glory Seekers, move a champion an extra space. We see with the Wood Elves, they have the ability to reduce armor by 1. Even if they're not attacking that unit, they can reduce that armor value by 1. Your champion can attack. So if I can eliminate followers, or if they're spread out, the little pockets of followers, depending on how many, right away I'm potentially countering buffs. And that's very, very important. So much of the game is about synergy. Again, I can't stop my opponent because I can remove models. They want to bring them back, then you can recruit and you can spend those action points to do that. I also cut down on the dice pool. So you need a set amount of dice to break through to cause wounds. You've got to hit agility, you've got to beat armor value, you've got to score wounds. Now, you could roll legendary. There have been times where I've gotten doubles on most of the dice combined with bonus attack dice, and it's just like, that's just insane. Beast mode on. Likewise, being a dice-based game, there's been a recent game I was playing Titus, and I use his ability to attack multiples, and I just miss on everything. And I'm like, okay, I got to take a step back. It is what it is, and that's where we're going to go for that round, and let's see what happens. Thank God this is not a you go, I go game, because I still stand a chance. But that said, weighing the odds, you start with a dice pool, and as you take losses, you have less and less dice that you can act. We see that with the followers. There's multiple profiles. How many are within range? How many are operating? So right away, most followers, and some are tougher than others, some are faster than others. I'm generalizing a little bit, but followers, no matter who they are much easier to kill than a champion. So if I gang up on your followers, I mean, certainly if I'm playing yellow, I'm absolutely going to do that. Playing Gene, I'm absolutely going to do that. Titus, absolutely. But by ganging up on followers, I'm reducing your buffs, I'm getting a free quickie point, and on top of that, I am reducing your dice pool and potentially forcing you to utilize turn resources to bring them back. So I'm looking, who can I kill, when can I kill, and as fast as I can kill. Now, champions are a little bit different. Their agility is usually close to the followers. Their armor is better. They have multiple wounds, and some of them have a ton of wounds on there. Some are very one-sided in that you might have a very, very high agility, but you've got no armor. So in that scoring, however you look at it, champions are harder to knock out. I gotta say, stop killing, right? Too many other skirmish systems here. Harder to knock out. I have seen, and I have done it, where you can knock out a champion in one turn, and sometimes you need to do that. The challenge with that, it's obviously easier if you're a Slayer, but the challenge with that is, if I'm playing a 2 or 3 warband set, absolutely I'll take out your champion. One turn. One of those champions. Nothing you can do to stop me. But I will have to spend all of my followers, all of my other champions to do that. And now you ask the question, okay, I did gain the 4 points, maybe the +1 for Slayer. I'm going to try and deliver that knockout blow with the Slayer. But what did I really gain? Because since I expended everything, that means your other champions and followers are gobbling up my followers. You're planting banners, and next thing you know, wait, Fritz should have won because he's got like all these kills, but you won on the sliding scale of the other points. This is the multi-facets of this game that makes it so interesting. So what I try to do, I will try to kill champions, but I try to stagger it out, because the other interesting thing that we see is round by round, you're never knocked out. So round 1 is worth 1 point, round 2, 2, round 3, 3, and then it cycles back down. So what this means is if you get hurt round 1 and 2 really bad, you lose for whatever reason. Dice, tactics, you're trying a crazy combo. I'm working on some stuff right now with sticks, and the learning curve is there, so I'm just getting stomped on everywhere. It was the same thing with Shale. I think on a side note, Shale is one of the more interesting and complex personalities in the game, but a lot to master in the movement phase. A lot. So there's a learning curve. So maybe turn 1, turn 2, you get beat on. You're not out of the game. You are not out of the game. That means you need to win turn 3. So in a case like that, except for some rare occurrences, champions don't heal. The wounds stay. So if you're playing Rangosh or Titus, I bring you down to 1 or 2 wounds. I keep you there. I could do that easily in a turn and still have enough resources for other possible scoring scenarios. I bring you down to that. Now I'm a little bit behind. I need to win turn 2 or turn 3. I've got a little juice. I can easily take you down and get that score. Or if I'm ahead in the game and I want to keep my lead, so if we go into the end rounds, I've got a comfortable lead, I try and juice you and hit you at that point. So it's not just about how you kill for the champions, it's when you kill them. Ideally, absolutely a little bit more fluid and harder to execute on the tabletop compared to followers, which I'm just going to look to gobble up, every single turn. So those are the three calculations that I'm kind of running. Now, of course, modified by the mission, of course, modified by the synergies of the warbands. There's a lot of what ifs, but I try and keep those three always in play because that will feed into what tactics I see opening up and what possibilities I see for me.